Greetings world, we are Anonymous. We bring you an important message of government abuse and mass corruption and child exploitation. For several years, the Department of Community Services in Halifax has been destroying families by denying them their basic human rights and needs. Let's start with Joanne Bannard, the Social Services Minister. Joanne Bannard, who herself was on social assistance for 9 years, her education was paid for by the same system. She now herself is taking people's basic needs away and cutting funding for the disabled and single parents. We ask ourselves why. As she should. She herself complained many times how horrible the system is. There is over 44,000 people in Nova Scotia that depend on the system. A report by Food Arc, a food research centre at Mount St. Vincent University, focuses on food and insecurity in Nova Scotia exclusively. A report establishes that a typical family of 4 relying on income assistance has only $92 per month left to spend on food once shelter, clothing, and other necessities are taken care of. We do not accept this. A lone man or woman on income assistance receives $620 per month in total. That is almost $700 per month, less than he/she would need to cover the basics, the Food Arc report points out. With all the job cuts, where are the people to turn? To a system of crime? Sending people to jail at the cost of $31 million for 200 inmates a year is a better investment than trying to help the ones who are in need. Locking sick patients up for simple crimes such as medical marijuana, as proven in the case of Bob Dillman and James MacDonald. Bob and his wife, who were arrested, terrorized, and their medical marijuana was taken by the RCMP and the Halifax police. Just this week, the courts threw out the charges and spent over $60,000 of taxpayers' money in 2 months for nothing. Is this something the stakeholders want? However, the courts continue to protect pedophiles, the creeps that destroy our kids and their lives, and they're walking away with a simple slap on the wrist. This is something all Nova Scotians should be asking themselves. Is it acceptable? I am sure the stakeholders would say no. Why is the government starving our most vulnerable and making them decide if they want heat, food, or a place to live? The government has a $285,000 budget for consultants to help with the review of the social services program after 20 years. Why is the government not talking to the people who are on the system, along with stakeholders? If you ask Darrell Dexter how that worked for him in the last election, not only losing in his own riding, but also losing his seat in general, we are almost positive Darrell Dexter would have listened to Nova Scotians. He made a brave choice that he now has to live with. Are you ready to make that same mistake? As promised in Stephen McNeil's Liberal campaign, he promised to listen to Nova Scotians, and his government would do the same. To help the less fortunate, by not subjecting the less fortunate to the same kind of treatment as the Darrell Dexter government did. Housing is at all-time high in Nova Scotia, with a 1-bedroom apartment running at the cost of $700 plus the cost of the greedy Nova Scotia power rates, which are tripling. However, the government is forcing Nova Scotians in need to the life of crime. As a single person, a family is in no way getting what the basic needs require. The government seems to have loads of money to spend on big corporate enterprises, such as Irving Oil, old submarines that were no more than another country's garbage, lots of money for war, but nothing for the poor. This is unacceptable. Here is a short list of some of the Department of Community Service workers that we have been keeping a close eye on. By playing God Alison Jones, you are starving families and causing unnecessary pain and suffering. We have evidence of your treachery via emails and tapped telephone conversations. So do not think there is no proof of your inhumane treatment of your clients. The Department of Community Services, Child Welfare Division, you should have expected this. April Faulkner, Ann Simmons, Josephine Burchill, Susan Pace, the disgusting way you work is hopefully haunting you in your nightmares. We have suicide reports, foster care placement documents, the Supreme Court of Canada Family Division documents of you stealing children and placing them in detention instead of exploring more healthy alternatives with the best interest of the children at heart. You claim to act in the best interest of children, yet we have evidence of the opposite. We demand you reevaluate your hurtful ways before we are forced to expose you even further. When you intentionally cause permanent psychological injury to families, you should have known we would expose you. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We are legion, united as one, divided by zero. To the Department of Community Services, you should have expected us.